Hello gel press friends, Marjolaine here with Faith Impressions and a Bible journaling page. Today, along with my gel press plates from Faith Impressions, I'll be using some Royal Talens products as well as some Artfoamies. And today I'll be working in my interleave Bible, so I have a whole page to work on. And I'm going to start with some Amsterdam gesso from Royal Talens, and it's clear, so I'm just going to spread that onto my page with a palette knife. So while my gesso dries, I'm gonna start working on my Starry Night Sky. I'll be using some gouache from Art Creations, which is Royal Talens. And so here I'm just setting up my colors. So here I'm just setting up my page, trying to see where I want my sky to be. So I'm using the border plate at the bottom because I'll want a stamp there, and then I have the star in place. And I'm just using a Q-tip, or actually it's a cotton swab, just to place dots all over my plate. And I'll be letting these dots dry completely before moving on to the next step. It's a bit of a long process and requires some patience, but it's worth it. So here I'm using the end of a pencil eraser to make some larger dots, and I'll be layering dots on top of other dots, but I just have to make sure that it's completely dry before I apply the next layer of paint. And I'm just about done with this step, and I'm going to put the plate aside and let it dry completely. So now I'm going to experiment a little. I want to see if the technique with the dry paint is going to work for this step as well. And so I'm going to roll some red gouache onto the plate and stamp it with an Artfoamies Stamp, and then I'm going to put it aside to dry. And here I just don't want to waste the paint, so I'm just going to roll it and then make an impression, and it looks pretty cool. I'll use it for something else. So I've decided that my dots are dry enough, or at least I've run out of patience for waiting, and so now I'm rolling some black paint on top, and when I press it on to my Bible page, hopefully it's going to leave a gorgeous background with the stars popping through the black paint. And so it doesn't look exactly like it did in my head. I think it looks pretty cool, so I'm very satisfied with it. And now I'm just using a second print, which I absolutely love. I'll put this in a journal somewhere. And now I'm repeating the same process with the plate that had the red paint and stamp on it. And as you'll see in a second, it didn't turn out at all, but that's all right because now I have a continuation of the black sky down the page. And everything is fixable in mixed media, so I'm just going to move on to the next thing. So I often hear the expression that our plans don't always work out like we thought it would. And it seems that in art, my plans don't often work out the way that I thought it would. But that's okay. It's perfectly okay to go to plan B. And you might actually have a lot of fun and discover new things if you do. So clearly I did not clean my brayer because the houses on the stamp are black instead of red. And I'm actually happy about that because I don't think it would have looked as nice with the red houses. So there you have it, a mistake that turned out better than I thought it would. So here I'm just rolling some paint onto the star from the Faith Impressions kit. And I'm attempting to add some texture, but it didn't really show up too much. And that's fine because I end up layering a few more colors onto the star. So here's a perfect example of having to go to plan B. My plan A was to trace these words onto the page, but even with white graphic paper it just really wasn't working too well. So I ended up cutting the words out and Mod Podging them onto the page. So the verse I'm using today is Isaiah chapter 9 verse 2, which says, "The people who walk in darkness will see a great light. For those who live in a land of deep darkness, a light will shine." And further down you get the really popular Christmas Bible verse, which says, "For a child is born to us, a son is given to us. The government will rest on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. His government and its peace will never end. He will rule with fairness and justice from the throne of his ancestor David for all eternity." You know, Christmas can be such a dark time for some people. So many people just dread the holiday season, and so really hoping that this Christmas there will be a lot of light. And I'm praying for some Christmas miracles and maybe some fun plot twists like I see in those super cheesy Christmas movies that I can't help but watch every single year. But in all seriousness, I just want to encourage everyone to reach out to others this Christmas. It is a really hard season for so many people. So here I'm using some Fineliner brush pens from Talens. I don't know how to pronounce them, but it's something like Bruynzeel. I tried really hard to figure that out and listen to it, but it's just not coming out of my mouth right. But they're from Talens and they're really great. They are water-based, so I can smear them quite easily, especially on top of the Mod Podge. To finish off my page, I'm adding some water to some white gouache, and I'm going to create the paint splatter just by tapping my paintbrush onto my page. So that's it for me today. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button and or comment, and don't forget to subscribe to the Gel Press channel. Bye, see you next time.